Hello? Good. Where are viewers? Yeesh. Just upcoming? Let's see if I can set it to live. Hey, Abby? Hey, Bridget. Hey, Abby. Hey, Ash. Karen. Kelly. Polly. Jay. Luro. Hey, Jenna. Backrooms. Scapegoat. Alright, so I guess it just took a few minutes for it to come up. Job training? Job training has not started yet. It starts Monday. Busy tonight, Scapegoat? Hey, Backrooms. Hey, Keyline. Hello, Ash. Hey, Honey Muffin. Hey, Polly. Hi, Meat Sweats. Very exciting. Indeed, Backrooms. We're back on this bullshit. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Color Purple. Job treating our cringe. They will tell you to put the camera on the whole time. Yep. I know they will. So at Rogers, when I was working at Rogers, I did have some up training. Like when I got switched to the remote, when I was doing the remote, the work from home at Rogers, I did have some up training there, and yeah, I think they actually maybe they don't. Rogers might not have expected us to have the camera on the whole time. Actually, come to think of it, maybe they did. I don't really remember. You like Cove? Rebecca? Yeah, I already had my my microwave dinner. and so yeah, so yeah, I know that the training, they do expect me to have the thing on the whole time. Whatever. Like my camera on the whole time, whatever. Hey, Kiki. I'm not Muslim, Rebecca. I can eat whenever the hell I damn well want. Whose dog was barking? Hold on for another 4 hours. What game is that? It is a visual novel called Our Life, Beginnings and Always. It's my new job. Customer service. Work from home customer service. I shouldn't tell leaving YouTube forever. I wouldn't blame her if she did. I would not blame her one bit if she did. You want to be my coworker? Windy again? It's fucking windy! Oh, customer service name you spoke to? How did I find the job? Just online, just searching. Indeed, I think I found it on Indeed. Last night was the last stream. Yeah, like I said, I don't blame her in the slightest. YouTube's been fucking miserable for a long time. It's just, you know, it's... the fucking... all those friggin' reaction channels and all the harassment. Yeah. Do you pick your work hours? Sort of. They had a couple of shifts available. I sort of... sort of said which shift I would prefer. Regret to CEO? No. What is this? It is a visual novel. Yeah, wow. Been a month since we played, so yeah. Been like a month since we played any. There is no yaoi. You do choose your You do choose your protagonist, your player character's gender. The romance interest is a boy. You can choose to play as a boy as well, in which case, you know, obviously you can. If you want it to be a romantic relationship, then at that point, obviously, it becomes a gay relationship. It is not hentai. Thanks, Great Good. It is not hentai. It is family friendly. Also, I think a big part of it is that they wanted it to be sort of a family friendly game. So, night shift, pretty much, yeah. Evening shift. No, non-binary as well. You can be boy, girl, or non-binary. And in fact, my character is non-binary. I chose to play a non-binary protagonist. You never see the characters... Like, you never see your character except at the very beginning of... like, you can sort of choose your character's appearance between each section. So the game starts at 8 years old, so you create your character at 8 years old. Then it jumps to 13 years old, so you sort of create your character at 13 years old. and then it jumps to 18 years old, which is where we're at now. We're at 18 years. Step 3, 18. So you create your character at 18 years old. Don't think there's a way to see what your character looks like, though. Kinda wish there was, actually. Hey, Kimby. Obligatory brief flirt. Alright. Before I get into the game itself... No, Rebecca. Fuck Hogwarts, and GTA just isn't my thing. So yeah, before I jump into the game proper... Hey, JJ. I don't know if any of you watch, I don't know if any of you like, song mashups. But just like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, I saw a mashup. It was, a song from, Neon Genesis Evangelion. So there's music from, Evangelion. Combined with Tribute by Tenacious D. It's pretty awesome, honestly. It was pretty friggin' cool. So yeah. Evangelion and Tenacious D. It works. Better than it has any right to. Neon Tenacious Evangelion. Hey, Twinkle Twinkle. Anyway, 30 viewers, that's about what I usually get for this, so... Probably not much point waiting any longer for more people. Don't think it's going to go up by much, so... Let's jump in. Reflection. Yes, reflection. Ooh, haven't had. Hey, Barney. Haven't had to do lots of reading in a month, so. After finishing breakfast at the Holden's house, you and Cove had retreated to his room to relax before starting the day in earnest. Or, perhaps, you would take it easy for the whole afternoon. Nice room. It's a pretty nice room he's got. Neither of you had plans exactly, so you were free to do whatever came to mind. I'm gonna watch the fish. You stood, watching Cove's fish swim idly around their tank. Hey, Hyde. There were tiny ones darting away as soon as they came into view, and big ones drifting aimlessly along. You let your attention wander from one to another, their movements lulling you into a trance. Just thinking of getting a fish tank? Cool. They're a lot of work, I think. Hey, honey bunny. Hey, ravishing. Thank you. Fish tanks, I think, are kind of a lot of work. Because you gotta clean them out. But some little rat stole my Switch. Aw. But watching fish do seem like it'd be... Sorry, Ash. this is what we're doing this week, this Saturday, this time. Anyway, watching fish does seem like the kind of thing that would be really relaxing. Even with your mind elsewhere, you could tell Cove was similarly at ease. He had his chin propped up with one hand as he scrolled through his phone. A burst of laughter broke the silence, hooking your attention and bringing you back to the present. You looked at Cove for an explanation. Less work than cats? Yeah, nah, I suppose you're right. Cats you do have to scoop daily and clean out the litter box regularly. His eyes, now crinkled with mirth, were still locked on his screen. What's so funny? He finally looked up at you, smirking. Dad scanned some old photos. You know. He drew a rectangle in the air with the phone-free hand. Printed out ones, back from when I was little. He texted it all to me last night, I guess. I've been checking them out. You were looking at your kitty photos and didn't tell me? Cove narrowed his eyes, smile still bent. I was gonna show you. Hey, number one princess. I just wanted to... You are absolutely not obligated to watch it yourself, Powderpuff. I just wanted to look at it first to make sure there was nothing super embarrassing. You never know with my dad. Thanks, princess. He grimaced, envisaging what horrors his dad might unwittingly spring on him.
I mean,
what if there's a photo of me getting potty trained or something? Kid pictures are supposed to be embarrassing. That's part of the fun. He was holding out on you, but your protest was of no use. Cove only cleared his throat nervously, the fear of his dad's well-meaning action still looming large in his mind. Anyway, before we forget, I was laughing because I came across a Halloween one from when I was 8. The year I was a zombie, remember? He shook his head, grinning wryly while holding the phone out to you. You walked over and took a seat on the bed next to him to get the full view. I never even liked zombies. All I wanted was to show off my new scar. And it needed to be something scary. I couldn't be a normal person who had a scar, according to my 8-year-old mind. That's actually kind of a cute logic. Anyone else smelling their screen when Cove wears that tank top? Hey, Daria. Like, that's cute logic. Just, hey, I gotta do a costume that shows my scar. That is a pretty bitchin' scar. Give 8-year-old Cove credit. That is a wicked scar he's got. I was a little dork.
right?
Dad really wanted to be useful as usual. He came up with the idea of being an undead person. It was pretty good, huh? Hey, little nitty. What am I saying? Words, Scapegoat. Words. I remember you getting lots of extra candy when adults realized the scar was real. It must have been your greatest Halloween haul ever. Cove chuckled at your reply. I can't believe how much larger my scar used to be. He looked down at his arm, a soft smile on his face, and traced what remained of the jagged line with his fingers, just as you'd seen him do countless times before. His voice was playful when he spoke again. Look at how tiny it is now. How am I going to pretend to be tough without a big scar? It's a definite blow to your street cred. You don't have to say it, even if it is true. Cove smiled bashfully, pleased with his joke, and ducked his head to look away from you. His fingers were still tracing the scarred patch of skin. Episode? Like this, but more entertaining? Hey, Spinach. I don't have a whole lot of this game left to get through. I actually am getting pretty close to finish. 10 more sort of moments, like the one I'm doing now, and then age 23, which doesn't actually have moments, I don't think. I really do like having this, even if it is kind of little these days. That's what he said. Those who believe in unicorns, Santa, and the Easter Bunny. I mean, whatever. His voice was shy, like he was letting you in on a big secret. You have to play the whole game? Yeah, I'll be finishing it. Cove turned back to face you fully, finally letting go of his scar. He was happy. That mark was a part of him and clearly held meaning for Cove. Do they have American cheese? Yes, scrape goat. Yes, scrape goat. We have American cheese. I just want to make sure. So scrape goat apparently can't hear me. Everyone else can hear me, right? I just want to make sure that, like... Hey, Frida. There you go, Frida. Hey, Lindsay. Reaching over, you laid a reassuring hand on his arm where the scar was. Actually, I just realized as well, I'm hiding the text. Just realized I was hiding the text. Whoops. You cupped his arm with your fingers carefully as your thumb ran down the outline of his scar. Along with the rougher tissue of the scar, you could also feel goosebumps on his arm. It's not me scraping? Okay. Cove let out a choked breath, a dizzied smile playing out on his face. It was evident that he liked the feeling. You lifted his arm up to kiss the scar. Your hold shifted so you could bring his forearm to your face. Cove quietly gasped when he realized what you're doing. You tenderly kissed the old wound that marked him. Cove squeaked at the feeling of your lips on him, and in that spot in particular, but his expression was overwhelmingly one of adoration. Sexy time's up in here, woo! Cove couldn't stay still and reached for you himself with his free hand, his fingers brushing against your cheek. He leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Can I kiss you? Please do. His cheeks burned red as he closed the gap between you, his mouth gently meeting yours. You held onto his arm like a lifeline as you kissed him back, briefly worried that you might drown in the depths of your feelings. Don't know the schedule yet. I mean... Actually, yeah, that's going to be... I don't know what the schedule is going to be starting Monday. Starting Monday, I'm not sure what sort of schedule will be. If I'll, like, be keeping any sort of schedule. Weekends for sure I'll go live. But, other than that... Hate this so much when I'm trying to tolerate it for you. It's okay, Frida. You don't have to tolerate it. Even if I'm only playing this game for myself, I'll continue to play it until I finish it. Even if I have no one watching. Then you opened your eyes, meeting Cove's, and knew that the feeling was mutual. He laid his forehead to rest against yours. You felt his hot breath tickling your face. Heads touching, your hand on his arm, you were entwined with Cove. It felt so right. Time couldn't register in that moment. It could have been seconds or minutes, but eventually you straightened up, lifting your hand from his scar. That seemed to break the spell. Though he stayed close to you, Cove sat up and came to his senses. Your eyes drifted back to the scar on Cove's arm. The scar had been there as long as he'd known Cove, though when you'd first met it had been concealed by that neon pink cast. Thanks, Kimby. I'll always be watching. Well, thank you for being creepy, Frida. Feel it? I will consider it, Rebecca. I will consider doing... I don't know. Filming myself... Going to a restaurant on my own and filming, I don't know. It just feels like it'd be weird.
So?
Want to hear how I managed to go jet skiing when I was 8? You were initially stunned that he'd guessed what you were thinking. Though, given the topic of conversation and the direction of your gaze, it was a natural conclusion to reach. Famous chicken gratin? Not bothered by your reaction, Cove continued with a shrug. I don't mind telling you, it's nothing special. He rubbed the back of his neck, grinning sheepishly. Mostly it's just really dumb. You nodded. That was something you'd like to hear more about, especially knowing that no lasting harm had come of it. Cove stared into the distance, lips parted as he readied the story in his mind. So me, my dad, and Mom were at a party. I don't know if it was a casual get-together or a specific celebration. I hope it wasn't for something meaningful, considering how I ended it. Grocery shopping? Yeah, I should probably... Well, I'll probably be going to my mom's tomorrow, so... I'll need to do some... I don't know, I might try to... Maybe I'll do it during the week after a shift one day. I don't know, we'll see. He winced, then managed a bashful smile. Anyway, my mom and dad were off doing stuff. Talking to people, I guess. I was left with the other non-adults. Most of them were older than I was. Maybe all of them were? His brow furrowed as he tried to recall dusty memories. Then he shrugged again and continued. The older kids were taking turns on the jet skis. There weren't enough for everyone to ride at once, so in between turns they were hanging out on the shore. I was meant to just sit there with them and watch. Remembering when you first met Cove, you bet that he hadn't been satisfied with that arrangement. He confirmed that suspicion. I was pretty unhappy. It wasn't a party for me, not when all I could do was look at other people have fun when I couldn't. The teens must have realized that. Though, I never hid when I was pouting as a kid. Only when you were a kid? Cove bristled with embarrassment. It looked pretty sulky to you. Come on, let me finish the story. Hey, Kelly, what's going on here? Visual novel is what's going on here. Alright. Cove sighed, letting go of the interruption and picking up where he left off.
Well...
Basically, someone offered to let me ride. I was way too small to drive it myself, but this older kid, they must have been at least 16, said I could sit in front of them while they controlled the jet ski. I knew I wasn't supposed to do anything like that. Still, I figured my parents were doing whatever they wanted, so I couldn't die. I nodded to the person, and I remember the other teens helping me onto the jet ski, along with the one driving. We sped off into the water. Cove smiled widely and wistfully. It was amazing. At first. My hair was flying everywhere as we zoomed away from the shore. I loved being out on the water like that. Too bad it turned out steering a jet ski with an 8-year-old sat in your lap was harder than a bunch of kids feared it would be. The team tried their best, but they couldn't keep control for long. We got spun around and went right into the sand. You sucked in a deep breath. The other person wasn't hurt. Thankfully, they held onto the bars and stayed in their seat. I didn't. I was thrown at full speed into a rocky part of the shore near the dock. I must have tried to brace for impact or catch myself, because my arm is what I mostly landed on. He looked down at the limb in question. You could see him visualizing the long-healed injury.
That's...
No tea, Koweïti. Hey, Sokka. It was pretty torn up. After that, it's hazy for me. I got taken to the hospital. I didn't feel a lot of pain when it first happened. All I remember thinking about was how I was covered in sand and the grains were uncomfortable. The sand was uncomfortable? Cove chuckled. I know, right? I did start feeling my arm later. It definitely hurt eventually. The doctor said my arm was broken along with being torn open. That's how I ended up getting my pink cast. I guess I'll just have to suffer through it, Koweïti. Hey, Timmy. Hey, Sokka. He smiled nostalgically. That color, it seemed just nice and happy at the time. It brightened the mood, so I picked it. It's matey? It is a visual novel, matey. Let's cover Cove in something else. You pervert. The smile faded. He finished the story with a sigh, his eyes downcast. I feel bad I did any of that. I hope whoever that teen was, they weren't traumatized by seeing a little kid go flying into the ground. They were just trying to do a nice thing. Hey, Samoan. Lap dance. Cove threw arms out to the side dramatically. Treat yourself to a lap dance? No. I wish I knew who they were so I could give them a call and say I'm still in one piece. But yeah, that's the full story. He laughed at what a terrible idea it had been. Sorry, Cove, but that was dumb. Cove sighed again, the regret written plainly on his face. It was a failure, that's just the truth. He smiled flatly. But to my credit, I think I've grown a lot since then. Wait. Cove's eyes went completely wide. Suddenly reinvigorated, he seized his phone and tapped away at the screen. What's up? I knew it. You weren't sure that he'd heard you, but he set his phone down and turned to face directly to you. No tea, Kelly. I don't do tea. His face was resolute. Though the glow of the screen was no longer reflected in his eyes, they seemed to sparkle even brighter than before. Jamie, we're adults. We can decide things for ourselves now. No, Sokko, no killing in this game. This can't be going anywhere good. The age requirement to rent a jet ski in California is 18. We could totally do it. More exciting things adults can do. Yeah. You want to break another bone? Cove pouted, his lower lip jutting out, which didn't back up what he said next.
Come on.
I'm not a little kid. You don't have to worry. Within a moment, Cove had recovered and returned to his serious expression from before. I'll be careful. And I really want you to be there when I try again. Please? His voice was soft and earnest. You could tell how much the request meant to him. You also knew him enough to know that he wasn't going to give up on this idea. Letting him go on his own wasn't an option. I can't have you running off by yourself. I'll go. without any hospital trips. Can you let chat choose the choices? Not really, Frida, because my childhood, like, it's, you're still sort of, your character is by necessity still sort of a fairly social person, someone who, likes the beach and shit, and I don't. I actually love jet skiing. Cove perked up at once, a grin stretched wide across his face. He was practically bouncing in place. Let's go! You got up and worked as a team to gather everything needed for the trip. Cove's other aquatic hobbies came in handy, and he was quickly kitted out with everything he'd need other than the jet skis themselves. You needed to run back home briefly, having dressed and prepared for a day that didn't involve jet skiing, but soon enough you were both ready and jumping into Cove's car. As you got in, you learned that Cove had used the brief time apart to locate a rental store in his phone. You caught his eye as you clicked your seatbelts into place. Excited, you held out a hand. Cove slapped it in a high five before setting off. You and Cove soon arrived. The ocean was perfectly inviting today. The deep blue of the water glittered under the clear sky, while the tide rolled in and out at its leisure. I'm so excited for this! His excitement was adorable. Seeing how pleased you were, Cove grinned at you.
Hey.
Oh, hey, want to say hi to my dad while we're here? I've already texted my mom about the plan. He's working right now. You remembered how close his shop was. It wouldn't take long even by walking. Sure, we can do that. Mr. Holden was a great guy, so you were happy to check in on him.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do not, Kimby. I am not a fan of AI art. Primarily because I follow a lot of artists on Twitter. And just like in general, like I follow a lot of artists. And yeah, the AI art is really not good for them. And I mean, like, there are professional artists who do, and even less professional artists. There are artists who do immensely creepy shit anyway. Who are able to draw some immensely creepy stuff. So, yeah. Thanks. Sorry it might be kind of awkward when he hears why we're here, but it should be alright. I mean, my parents forgave me a long time ago for that amazing stunt. I don't want to be scared off jet skiing for my whole life because of it. You wondered which of you Cove was attempting to reassure. It was only a short walk back down to the dock to Mr. Holden's scuba shop. Cove breezed in, as familiar with the store as he was with his own home. The place was quiet, empty aside from a couple of customers quietly browsing, and Cove's dad behind the counter. What would I do if the girl you were talking to, dating, blocks you from everywhere? I mean, not a lot that I could do at that point. Mr. Holden looked up, his friendly expression spreading into a grin when he saw who had just entered.
Hey!
Hi, Jamie. Hey, sport. What brings you all the way out here? My thought is mind your own fucking business. He cast an eye at the way the two of you were dressed. Judging by how you're decked out, I'm guessing scuba diving? There's plenty here for that. What can I help you with? Cove chuckled, amused by how quickly his dad seized on a favorite topic. Or maybe it was how his dad always fell over himself trying to be useful. Hi, Dad. We're not doing that this time. We sort of decided to go rent a couple of jet skis. The phrase jet skis had Mr. Holden's mouth in a taut line immediately. Jet skis. He echoed the words as his eyes instinctively darted to the scar on Cove's arm. That's when... Mr. Holden started to speak several times, each attempt quickly abandoned. Cove smiled encouragingly, trying not to add to his father's worries.
Don't worry about it.
I promise I'll be careful. And Jamie will be there too. We always look out for each other. Mr. Holden pinched his face back into an unconvincing smile.
Right.
Alright, you're a whole lot bigger now than you were back then. Heck, you can drive a car and everything. I'm sure you and Jamie will have plenty of fun. If I love a game, I intentionally make it last as long as possible. Indeed. The worry still echoed out in his voice, barely concealed by the positive words, but Cove was buoyed by his father's support. He looked sad. Yeah, because he's really worried about his kid. Yeah. Well, we're all set. We only stopped by to say hi and let you know, since we were over here. Mr. Holden beamed, obviously moved by his son's simple consideration. Wow, you're so thoughtful. Thanks for taking the time. Am I frozen? Often. Does this game go anywhere? I mean, this is where it goes. Kelly. Like, this is the game. Yeah, it's just... moments from Summer's growing up. Summer is just, summer memories. Cove gave his dad a crooked smile, shaking his head bashfully. He'd long stopped fighting his dad's effusive praise, but that didn't mean he'd ever become good at accepting it. Mr. Holden simply laughed at his son's response. It'd be great if you could keep me in the loop while you're out there, too. Just text me to let me know if it's going well or anything. I will. His dad smiled more easily.
Great.
Cove rubbed at his arm, causing Mr. Holden's eyes to momentarily twitch back to the childhood memory.
Bye.
Injury. We're gonna head out. See you later. Take care. See you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden waved you off as you left the store. I mean, I never kissed a boy, but... The pair of you headed back to the docks, walking side by side. After your feet hit the boards, Cove's pace fell. Glancing over, you saw him looking down, out over the water. That wouldn't have been unusual if his expression hadn't been so somber. He wasn't geared up with anticipation, or even nervousness, but with an uncharacteristic lethargy. Something was weighing heavy on his mind. Yeah, just nudge him gently. Huh? He blinked, startled by you interrupting his rumination.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. He sighed. Though you'd torn his attention from the ocean, it gradually drifted back to the water. You cleared your throat, unwilling to lose him again. Sorry. Again. He put his hands to his face, rubbing his eyes wearily. Here I go, thinking everything's resolved with what's happened, and we can have fun. But I can't just enjoy anything. I had to find something else to get stuck in my head. You're having second thoughts about jet skiing?
No.
No, that's not it. The end of his lips were drawn into the beginning of a frown, like gray clouds clustering to signal a coming storm. It'd be fun if they played the audio and you didn't have to... I do wish that they had done voice acting for more of the lines. Like, I wish... Not even necessarily all the dialogue, but I do wish that more of it had... that there was more voice acting in the game. I figured my dad would be a little worried about me doing it, but what he was saying, it wasn't what I'd expected. He was so sad. It was more than nervous. I think he feels bad, and now I feel bad. But it isn't as if the only one who ever does something stupid or gets hurt. Bye, Maddie. It got me thinking about that whole time. That's when I realized it wasn't long after that accident that my parents separated. No, Sokka, there won't, so... If that doesn't appeal to you, then... You're under no obligation to watch. Hey, Bally! You stayed quiet. As a kid, I didn't think about the consequence of my actions, Or how what I did impacted other people. Like, why should anyone care? I'm the one doing it, not them. It made no sense, and I still cared when other people did things I didn't like. But I was 8, and mostly just mad that nothing felt like it was in my control. And... thanks, Huena. If you decide to be obnoxious, Sokka, then maybe. You could tell that he was building up to something, so you nodded for him to continue. I was pretty difficult to deal with because of that attitude. But looking back, I think that's what saved me from something a lot of kids go through. Blaming themselves for their parents' divorce. It never crossed my mind that anything I did made a difference on my mom and dad's relationship. They would do what they did no matter what. You feel like going to a bar? Saturday night, so it's the time to go to a bar. Now, though, I guess it's kind of hard to ignore that thought, huh?
I mean...
Their situation was already so hard, and I wasn't a good kid, so... He left his words adrift as he looked down, the conclusion unfinished. It was silent between you. But only for a second. Cove pulled himself up to his full height, his chin held aloft. Whatever he decided, he was resolute. I'm going back. I've got to talk to my dad. I'm not going to let things be like before, where I just feel crappy and refuse to even tell him what's going on. That doesn't work for either of us. You can go ahead if you want. I won't mind. I still really want to do this, and I'm sure it'll be okay. It's very generous of you, Frida. Unusually specific, but... Whatever, Sokka. This is wild. Two wild and crazy guys. I'm a wild and crazy guy. House party? Hi, Cam. No, I don't think I will be playing that game. I want to stay with you. We always look out for each other, remember? Cove smiled gently, having wanted that deep down. Thanks. let's go. You and Cove retook your steps down the docks once more, heading back to Mr. Holden's scuba shop. The customers you'd spotted in there before were now leaving the store, new bags clutched in their hands. You hoped that this would mean Cove could have his conversation without a public audience. This time, Cove strode inside the shop with purpose. Mr. Holden, still at the counter, glanced up to greet whoever had come inside. He grinned as you approached.
How's it going?
Hi, Cam. Hello again. Forget something? Sort of. Cove had reached the counter now. You'd needed to rush just to keep up with him as he crossed the show floor. Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow, taking in Cove's shift in attitude, and chose his next words with care. Is everything all right? Cove swallowed, not answering initially. Talking openly with his dad was still somewhat new for the son. You knew that he was struggling for the right way to begin. I wanted to ask about what happened. Mr. Holden winced as if the words had struck him physically. The accident? No, the divorce. The pained expression fell from Mr. Holden's face. Wide-eyed, his jaw slack, he gaped at Cove.
Huh?
Why? Cove glanced over his shoulder at you. As your eyes met, you saw him draw confidence by having you at his side. He turned back to his father. I want to know the truth! So tired we can't sleep? Aw, that's rough. No, I can never bring myself to cry. I never really let myself cry. His tone was grave. Did me getting into the accident hurt your marriage? If I hadn't done it, would you and Mom have gotten along better? No! Hell no! Mr. Holden quashed the suggestions with a gravity you'd rarely heard in his voice. You were 8 years old. You're not responsible in any way. Kyra and I should have protected you. Scuba. I can understand why you're feeling that. What happened was so horrible. How could it not have an impact? It did. Mississippi. It was a reflection of us as parents. The relationship between just your mom and me was separate, and already unsalvageable. Cove turned away, his brow still furrowed as he looked at the floor.
Well...
Maybe I'm being anxious and it's taking over, but it wasn't just then. I always caused problems. It is not a free game. It was one that I backed on Kickstarter years and years ago. It was released it finally released in like 2020. He plowed on, unwilling to give up without explaining his worries. What if I'd been easier to raise? Or if you'd had me later on? Maybe even if you didn't have me at all, it might have been better for the two of you. How much was this game? I don't actually know how much it costs. Because I backed it on Kickstarter, I got the game and all its DLC, sort of on release. PC? On Steam, yeah, it's on Steam. If I didn't have you, then what good would my life be? Mr. Holden didn't let the words hang unchallenged in the air for even a second. He hurried over to Cove, taking his son's arms in his hands. Cove, listen. There's only one person to blame for things not working, and that's me. Cove opened his mouth to speak, but Mr. Holden forced on, determined to erase any question in Cove's mind. I'm not saying this to dishonestly push accountability off from someone else, or to throw a pity party for myself. You want to know the truth, so that's what I'm giving you. I can definitely see that. I don't think it's intentional. Appropriate appropriate conversation for everybody having on the clock. I mean, I suppose no one's in the store. It's $4.99. Is it? That's cheap. Nice. Your father is the reason our family couldn't stay together. You think you caused trouble? You should have seen me at your age. You're such a good kid. I can hardly believe how good you are. Hey, Comic Rook. Mr. Holden's eyes were misty as he squeezed his son's arms. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, you need to blame yourself for. I'm sorry, Cove, to you and to Kyra. Mom? Yeah, your mom. His pained face eased slightly into a bittersweet smile. Kyra, she was just so smart, and driven and completely bursting with life. It was as if she could do anything. Yes, this is Cove's dad. Scuba tanks. Those are scuba tanks, Kelly. He runs a scuba shop. Yeah, this guy is, Jonathan Majors being... Jonathan Majors, he's an actor, right? That is disappointing news. Frida? At the moment, there's apparently no customers in the store. A couple of customers just left right before Cove burst in. His dad looks 19 years old. You know, there wasn't a single solitary person who didn't want even a piece of her attention. Just to catch her eye for a moment. But for some crazy reason, she had a soft spot for my 17-year-old screw-up self. That's when we first met, though it definitely took some time before I managed to ask her out on a date. Mr. Holden shook his head, the smile melting as his recollection became solemn once more. And then we'd only been officially together for about 6 months when we found out we were having a baby. I was so worried, so scared, but she was so brave. She was my rock. But we both knew the road ahead was going to be rockier. When we got married, I didn't see it as a dream come true. I wasn't about to start living my life in the only way I could imagine doing so. I thought what happened, happened, and throwing my cards in with a girl like her was worth the risk. He grimaced, the sentence sour in his mouth, regretting his past perspective. I'd been taking care of myself on my own and getting by. Then all of a sudden I was going to have a wife and a child. So I thought, alright, I'd better step things up and take care of all of us. And that's what I did. Sort of. He rolled his eyes. I made money, kept a roof over our heads, and put food on the table. But I was always busy, focused on taking care of things, that I didn't stop to consider what anyone else was thinking, or what they actually needed. I made every decision about what I did, and as a result, what happened to the family, by myself, never asking what your mom felt or even wondering if she might have an opinion. I'd tell Kyra about the great place I'd found and how we'd be moving there in the same breath. Or that I'd spent all our savings and taken out a loan to start this business we're standing in, and even more nonsense. Anything I felt I needed to do, I did. Kyra couldn't even ask where I'd been all day without me rolling my eyes like she was being a nag. I was making sure we didn't starve, obviously, right? Couldn't she trust me? He sighed, his head hung low.
God.
She went to school part-time while raising you, really knuckling down, but that didn't matter to me back then. She could have spent her days lying in bed, not dying, and I would have felt the same. I didn't care. I was going to get it all done on my own either way. It's so stupid. I admired her more than anyone when there was nothing at stake. Yet as soon as responsibilities were involved, I couldn't let myself rely on her. He combed a hand through his hair, searching for an understanding of his own younger self. I'm not even sure why. Maybe I had something to prove. Maybe I'm the one who didn't trust her in the end. Poor Kyra. She had to spend every day mentally weighing the pros and cons of putting up with my horrible ideas for the sake of peace, or trying to explain to my blockheaded self what I was doing wrong. It must have been so stressful and frustrating. constantly having to let everything go because I was stubborn and absolutely would make a fight out of it. Carnivore diet? He snorted bitterly. I was definitely stuck in my head a lot those days. Our relationship at that point was made of arguments and cool tolerance, but I still genuinely didn't see the divorce coming. We'd made it through the first few years, and after that I never really considered it ending. It was just how life was. Hi, I'd like to buy some flippers, please. In retrospect, it's clear Kyra kept thinking on it more every year, especially because she managed to finish her journalism degree, and with us being more stable. Financially, that is. She thought of everything. She even timed it right when your school ended for the year, so the process would hopefully be all settled before you had to worry about class again. Striking out on a dating sim? I mean, a lot of dating sims you can fail. RIP to those mommy milkers. We were already talking about it before the accident ever happened. I know I took it really hard, being a sad sack all around the neighborhood. But even that is unfair of me. When it shook out, I'm the one who got everything. Kyra didn't want to leave you, Cove. She never would have. I'm certain she felt like she had no choice but to end the relationship. The business was doing really well by then, so I had an easier time making a living. She was between jobs, and when she did get a new job, it meant that she'd be traveling all the time. That's why she willingly accepted me having full custody. She didn't get to be there with her child for so many moments, and you had to spend half of your life growing up without your mother. It's my fault. Mr. Holden closed his eyes briefly as he took a breath. So that's it, the story of Cliff and Kyra's marriage. Not exactly a fairy tale, but I want to be clear. You saw his grip on Cove's arms tighten. No matter what happened with me and her, I'd never, ever want to miss out on being your dad. Cove's throat bobbed as he swallowed. His eyes glistened, glossy with tears that had yet to follow. He blinked quickly, trying to hold them back. Hey, Harlem! Feels like it's been a while, Harlem. Thank you for telling me. His voice was hoarse, little more than a whisper. Mr. Holden brought a hand up to his face and lightly nudged Cove's chin. You're welcome. You're a grown-up now, right? You deserve the truth. That's the least I can do for you. Whew. So much talking. Cove managed a fragile smile. Thank you for taking care of me, for all of it. Mr. Holden brushed the compliment off with a wave of his hand.
No worries.
It was nothing. Look at where we ended up. I've got this whole entire store, a house, friends here, a very thoughtful son. It's all good for me.
I'm so glad.
You got a tattoo? Ooh. What's the tattoo, Comic Book? I'm gonna water. Get in the water. It's a penis It's a penis comic book. You got a penis? It's a Roa fruit from Elden Ring. It just looks like a little branch, but it's a secret nerd tattoo. Cool. That sounds pretty cool, comic book. His voice was still quiet, and he ducked his head shyly after saying the words. Mr. Holden patted him on the back. You could see the tears in Cove's eyes still shining, threatening to spill over. What's Cove up to these days? He decided he wanted to go jet skiing, and then while he was down was like, hey, why did my parents divorce? What, Sailor Moon tattoo? Lots of water out of the square glass. Indeed, comic book, absolutely. Mr. Holden put an arm around his shoulders, gently steering him towards the door. You should go have fun. Make some nice memories. Cove's gaze flicked over to you. The watery smile on his face solidified. All right. Good. Now out you go! Mr. Holden nudged the two of you out of the shop. You both watched silently as you made your return to the docks. Cove's face was pensive, clearly still digesting everything his dad had said. Headshot in a heart? That sounds cute. Except Huena. You should have gotten a headshot in, like... I don't know, I suppose she's got that heart brooch. I was gonna say you should have gotten a headshot, like, in a crescent moon. You know, like crescent moon and then her head, but the heart works as well, I suppose. He finally sighed, catching your attention. He hesitantly reached for the bag he had brought and raised it up. Well, you said it was a Sailor Moon tattoo, right? Sailor Moon tattoo last week? That would have been cool too. One of my favorite t-shirts that I have that I never wear is sort of like an outline. It's like an outline of Sailor Moon sort of next to a crescent moon. Anyway, I have no tattoos. I want to get a tattoo of a butt on my butt. He finally started catching your attention. He hesitantly reached for the bag he had brought and raised it up.
Jamie.
Sailor Moon is the best. She is. Jamie, I want to call my mom. I'm not going to leave her out of things. I want to know what she thinks about what happened and all of that. Whole tattoo? He filled it with the straps of his bag. It still remained closed shut. I was joking. I'm not getting a tattoo. It's not like I don't trust Dad. It's just Mom's thoughts are important too. I get it, Cove. There's two sides to every story, after all. Saw some dude with a huge beard and a shirt that read, "Lions, not sheep." If I ever did get a tattoo, it would be the bitch planet NC for non-compliant. Though hummingbird would actually work well too. Tramp stamp that says Boner Garage. He seemed relieved that you understood. You knew he didn't want to be a bother with another delay. Thanks. Then I guess there's no time like the present. Time to ask. Then feel free not to watch, sucko. Hole, the 90s band. They were a good band. Hole was a great band. Do I support the attic? Like, the part of a house? Like an attic in a house? Do you mean that kind of attic, Rebecca? Why do you like hummingbird? Reference to the Pretty Deadly quote about the hummingbird working harder in the rain. Hey, sweet Caroline. Ba ba ba. Tattoos hurt less than stubbing your toe? Yeah, and I don't like stubbing my toe either. With that mini pep talk, he finally opened his bag and found his phone. Cove unlocked it quickly and tapped over to his favorite contacts. He called up his mom and put the phone on speaker as it dialed. Kyra must have had her phone close because she answered almost immediately.
Cove.
This is a pleasant surprise. I thought you'd be getting back to me later. Hey, Mom. He paused for a second and then looked at you. You're on speakerphone with Jamie, too. I don't know what re-tease means, Kim. But I don't know. Since I have no idea who they are, I cannot comment on them. Hey, Kyra. Oh, hello, hello. I'm popular today. Well, what's going on? Don't keep me in suspense. Are you a pro jet skier already? Cove chuckled and scratched the back of his head. We haven't started yet. Actually, there's something I kind of want to ask you about.
Really?
Really? I'm intrigued. Yeah, Frida, I don't enjoy pain, so... Her voice was bright and excited. Cove moved the phone closer to his face so he could speak softly, aware that the tone of this conversation was about to change. I was talking to Dad earlier. It was about your relationship and why you both divorced. Ah. That one syllable had lost all her earlier energy. Cove tightened his grip on his phone. It does make sense that the past would come up today. Yeah, but... He tried to brighten up the mood again. You weren't used to him being the perky of the two. You could only imagine it felt like a strange role reversal for him. In pain always? Yeah, it's... that kind of thing sucks. Chronic pain is a bitch. iPhone? No. I have a Samsung. Dad said you were really amazing. He admired you a lot. What a flatterer. She sighed wistfully, and you could hear some interference. Maybe she had shaken her head. You couldn't tell for sure. Oh, Cliff. He bungled himself through regular, everyday adulting and social situations in astoundingly charming ways. Rolling up before I take my nighttime prescriptions? Sounds good, I guess. Yet, somehow, at the exact same time, he was ambitious, slightly shady, under-the-table type of man when it came to making his living in the world. He was an ambitious, slightly shady, under-the-table type of man when it came to making his living in the world. So essentially, your father was an absolute heartthrob for someone such as myself. Cove and Kyra laughed delicately. The tension was broken into something lighter, more familiar between the two. It's cool you both have nice things to say about each other. I agree, baby. She took a moment before continuing carefully. Do you have questions about what happened? I'm not sure. Cove squinted at the phone in his hand as he tried to think, his free hand brushing through his hair. I just kind of wanted to know how you'd describe what it was like. Could I tell you what Dad said about it?
All right.
I don't think Cliff would mind. Whatever he told you is probably what he'd say to me. All right, go for it. After taking a breath, Cove recapped Cliff's experience, doing his best to follow his dad's story. He went into a surprising amount of detail, and not a single thing was missed. Kyra listened on in absolute silence, letting her son speak without interruption. When Cove finished, he took another deep inhale of air. So, what do you think? Kyra sighed softly. You heard a clacking noise like she was drumming her nails on the back of her phone or on a countertop. That definitely sounds like Clifford. It's not exactly wrong, but he doesn't have a total picture. He puts the emphasis on the wrong places, I think.
Huh?
What do you mean? For starters, Cliff unsurprisingly downplayed himself more than he had to. He did? Cove's eyebrows raised, and his face continued to inch even closer to the screen. Well, since your dad was so praising of me, it's only fair to return the favor. When Cliff said he was already taking care of himself when he met me, he means he was on his own. Cliff's own parents weren't, and still aren't, friendly people. They've always had a combative relationship, though him getting into drinking and gambling as a teenager certainly didn't help. He knew they'd kick him out at 18, so he saved them the trouble and left home at 17. He always found a way to make it work, even without support. I met him a few months after that. We hit it off right away. He was exactly what I wanted back then. We dated, and then about a half year later, bam, you were on the way, Cove. She laughed fondly as Cove clung to every word. I was really optimistic about it all. I couldn't wait to be a mother, and I was more than happy that Cliff was the father who'd be along for the ride. We got married quick, before you were born. Cliff's recollection of our wedded dynamic is pretty spot on. He was extremely stubborn and just, well, immature. Highly, highly immature. Her voice raised slightly, and you got the feeling she was thinking back to her memories living with him. She left the specifics unspoken. But it's not like I was grown up either. Everyone, except maybe Cliff, could see our relationship was no good. Or at least not good enough yet to commit to. I knew, but I didn't want to give it up. I wanted to keep the family together. I thought that if we divorced, or were never together, then we'd ruin your life, Cove. Obviously, that wasn't true. I just didn't have enough experience at the time to realize there wasn't only one option for us. Maybe things would have been easier on you if we had split up when you were still a baby, But it took me years to start figuring it all out. Cancer? Ooh. Oh shit, Frida. Jeez. Well, this is just a heavy... This video is just heavy all around. You know, games dealing with all, like, divorce stories and chat talking about cancer and just heavy night, apparently. Cove nodded, even if his mom couldn't see it, thinking hard about something. He was likely remembering his own experiences back then. We were married, but never seriously loved each other. We hardly knew each other. I don't mind that Cliff never viewed marrying me as some kind of dream come true. I honestly just appreciate that he tried giving my hastily made life plan a shot. I was the one who proposed, after all. Got down on one knee and everything. She huffed slightly, something between a chuckle and a sigh. It's very funny, and a little sad, that Cliff still doesn't know why things changed between us. It's obvious to me, and I guess he does know deep down. He just never consciously made the connection.
It's alright.
I'm not even mad he didn't stay the same towards me. Love makes everything different. But you said... I know what I said. She interrupted Cove before he could finish his blurted-out interjection. I don't mean Cliff and I. We were just two kids in a relationship that only ever worked when it was at its easiest. And then you were born. Little Cove James Holden. I loved you immediately, and so did your father. Shout out to modern medicine and THC. Cove was stunned. His eyes started watering as his mouth clamped shut. The inclination we had towards each other paled in the face of that. Our love to you was the real deal. Why I'm still masking? Because I choose to, Rebecca. Cliff was the proudest papa. Then in true Cove fashion, tears began to fall. He stayed silent, but you were pretty sure Kyra knew the effect her words had on her son. No matter how much time passed, Cliff never got over how amazing it was that such a precious little boy was his. Masking? It means I wear a mask, Vanna. Whenever I go to a store, I wear the mask. Basically, anywhere I am out in public, I just put the mask on. Because I can. Want to move to Minneapolis, though? Isn't that kind of Canada? I think so. I think it's a sort of like Canada Light a little bit. Yep, Canada Light maybe. I understand they've got the, hey, Icky. I understand that Minneapolis does have the Canadian politeness thing going on, so... I should have taken pictures of how he'd puff up whenever someone referred to you as his son. He sounded much cheerier now. A slight smile crept on Cove's face despite his tears. Then again, he still does that now. It wasn't hard to imagine Mr. Holden lighting up around Baby Cove, the same way he did with 18-year-old Cove. I remember how, when a real argument started brewing, Cliff had a habit of walking away to cool off. He wasn't able to handle it. His son seems to have taken after him in that way. That's pretty funny, Comic Brook. Hey, that person you're watching right now is available to watch. You heard her chuckle, and Cove looked down, a blush clear in his cheeks. You could just feel her smirk through the phone. The masculine girl you used to play with? Not sure which one you mean, actually. She breezed over the next section airily. For our whole relationship, he always ended fights by skipping out on me for who knew how long. I don't think even Cliff knew when he'd come back. Indeed, Huena. I will say, Huena, there's a guy I follow on, a cartoonist I follow on Twitter. He lives in the US. And he was talking, he tweeted just today about having to go to like an emergency room because his his general practitioner wouldn't be available for 3 weeks. So wait times are apparently a thing in the US as well. Vietnamese food? Probably not. Nah, I don't think I'd like Vietnamese food, honestly. I'm too picky. King Charles III? I don't know why Canada remains part of the monarchy. That's how I feel. Down with monarchy. Abolish the monarchy. That's how I feel about it. That stopped when you were born. Cliff stopped running. He was still gone a lot for work, and we still had fights, but he wouldn't leave. I did not do snow angels today. Specialists in the US are usually about 3 to 6 months, dentist 6 months. Instead, he'd go to your room, Cove. If you were asleep, he'd just sulk on the ground by your crib until you woke up. Sometimes he'd pace the room while holding you, or sit on the floor and rock you. He'd stay with you until one of us decided we were ready to talk again. Any food I would try? Korean barbecue is something I would try. Aw, thanks, Scapegoat. Doing the tomorrow? Probably not. Last night I had a hangover. 21, maybe? Probably 21. Or earlier. Maybe 19. I think maybe 19 would have been the last time I had a hangover. I don't think I really drank very heavily after. Like, I had, like... My birthday, when I turned 19, I went to a bar and, drank a lot. That might be the last time I drank enough to get drunk and have a hangover. Korean barbecue is so good. Yeah, I've never had... The one thing I've tried, that, Wild Wings. Or what? Yeah, that Wild Wings, place. They had, Korean barbecue flavor wings. And I tried that. And I was weirdly disappointed. I thought it'd be... those I thought would be more flavorful. Drinking those. I know, Hoena, that's why I stopped. Like, that's why I stopped drinking. Was because I did not enjoy it, so... Has God revealed himself to me since moving to Cornwall? No, but I'm generally not in that area of town where he flashes. Korean woman grabbed my hip and told me they were fat. Do you think your pickiness is interfering with gaining knowledge on different cultures? Yes. Food is a huge part of culture, and whiteness has shit for a reason. Drinking age in Canada is 19, except in Quebec where it's 18. At least I'm pretty sure all the other provinces are 19. I know Ontario is 19. I'm pretty sure all the provinces are 19 except for Quebec being 18. We didn't have a lot of furniture back then. That's part of the reason why Cliff was always hanging out on the floor. He really came to embrace it. 19 is weird age, but kinda. When our relationship got bad enough that we didn't want to share a bed anymore, he always made sure I got to have the mattress. He instead set up a spot in the corner of the nursery, just in case you needed anything through the night. He gave you a more private space when you got bigger, but he still always made sure he could be there for you. There's still no denying, whether Cliff understands or not, he made his choices without prioritizing me. But it wasn't that he suddenly hated me. To Cliff, I was only a wife on paper. In his mind, I was a cool girl he had dated and generally liked. Nothing close to being the light of his life. Should have gone to Quebec? Yep. All his blood, sweat, and tears weren't for himself or me or even the family unit. They were all completely and totally for his baby. Meanwhile, I was doing the same, though in the opposite way. I did take us being married seriously. I was trying to force us together as a couple so we would be a complete family for our child. You felt like a fly on the wall of a very personal conversation. Cove didn't seem to notice when you looked over at him. His face a complicated patchwork of emotions.
I guess.
Eventually, I woke up and saw what I was doing. I realized it wasn't going to work, not like that. If I had sex, how much would I have sex per week? I don't know. Once or twice a week, probably, realistically. Got kicked out of a club for being less than 21. Also casino in Canada. That might be it, with it being a casino. They might have different rules there for... That might be a gambling thing? I don't know. When I was ready for it, I talked to Cliff about separating and starting up the divorce process. He was shocked by it, and unfortunately, it wasn't too long after when you had your accident, Cove. Jamie, I don't know how much Cove really told you about it, but when he broke his arm, it terrified all of us. 19 for cigarettes too? Yep. Cove could have died. Even back then, we knew he'd likely have a permanent scar he'd have to live with forever. Our parenting hurt our child, and he was the one who'd have to carry the repercussions. You were a bit taken aback to be referred to directly. You still felt a little out of place, and she'd seemed completely focused on her son. Cove grimaced, and the hand holding his phone shook. Mom. Kyra continued as if she'd never paused. It was heartbreaking, and then on top of it all, we had to put you through your parents breaking up. Taking that back wasn't an option, despite the timing. It felt like everything we had worked so hard for to make you happy was for nothing. I chose to believe we'd fix our lives from there, but to Cliff it seemed hopeless. He failed his son. It was easier for me in some ways. I had my family to lean on. That made it feel less daunting, less impossible. I don't think Cornwall has a casino. The Iron backstory? Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think we already kind of knew that it was on a jet ski. But yeah, we did get the Arm backstory. Basically, we got the full backstory earlier in Harlem. Basically, his parents had taken him to some kind of party on a beach. There was a bunch of older kids playing around on jet skis. Cove felt left out. One of the 16-year-old kids, offered to sort of put Cove on the jet ski and drive him around, but didn't really know how to balance it properly with, I know, Harlem, you came in after. So I'm just, I started going over it now. So yeah, the 16-year-old kid couldn't control it properly, having an 8-year-old boy sitting in front of him, and wiped out. And Cove sort of smashed against some rocks, and broke his arm and had a huge gash. No, Ken. His last name is Holden. Do you think you'll ever have a child? No, AM. Cliff had only ever really known being on his own, by the happenstance of his birth and then by choice. When we broke up, he knew he was going to have to put back the pieces of what was left alone. When Gloucester, I wanted to be there for him even after everything, but I was the one divorcing him. It was impossible. Holden D's nuts. I never managed to be someone he truly relied on, and I had to remember that wasn't changing. As bleak as it felt at the time, Cliff still tried not to let any of that show to you, Cove. He did what he could to keep your spirits high about the move, your new house, the scar, everything. So that's why Cove trailed off. He had misunderstood the impact his injury had on his parents. You were reminded of something that made more sense now. Mr. Holden had been so helpful with Cove's old Halloween costume because he didn't want Cove to be saddened by the scar. It was clear Cove was coming to the same realizations. Yes, Cove. Yes, Blood, I did get a job. I start Monday. It was the title of a vid live 2 days ago, Blood. Jeez. I have a job, Blood. I just said I have a job. Hey, Jordan. Work from home, customer service, job, Blood. I am not going to give any more details than that. But yes, I do have a job. I will be doing work from home, customer service. Games like this are not healthy. Rebecca, I am team fuck YouTube drama. What the fuck are you even talking about, Blood? Now, with all that said, if Cliff was a completely perfect and wonderful guy, I wouldn't have left him. If it was even pretty good, I would have stayed. It was hard not to have custody. Sometimes I felt like I was a fun aunt rather than the mom I always wanted to be. I might have overcompensated a little at times because of that. She forced a laugh, but it had an uncomfortable edge to it. You could tell she was trying to blow off a very real anxiety of hers. Cove looked ready to say something, but his mom kept talking, kept moving forward. Still, it's not Cliff's fault alone that our relationship didn't work. We were always better as co-parents than spouses, but I knew when separating that it wasn't going to be even. Fine, Frida. Pussy, 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 marijuana, awana, smoke weed every day. Thanks, Doc. I haven't had a chance to talk to her about that stuff yet, Jordan. Thanks, Jordan. And Cove, the only reason I could stand not being there for you all the time is because I knew that if the situation was reversed and I could have provided a more stable environment, Cliff would have done the same. Your dad would give up his house, his shop, even his right arm if it would guarantee that you were safe and happy. How about his left arm? That's the one that got hurt. So, as painful as it was, I was sure you'd be okay, because you were still with someone who loved you more than anything else in the world. I'd rather not, Rebecca. Long-ass phone call. It is. Cove lowered his head, tears falling to the ground. He tried to speak. It took him a few tries. Thank you for telling me. His voice cracked, and Kyra made an alarmed sound on the other end of the line. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to make you cry.
I get it.
It's okay. Crave microwave? I don't think they're Crave microwave. I don't know that I've ever even seen Crave microwave meals. Making lasagna tomorrow with extra cheese. Nice. He was still crying, everyone could tell, being physically present or not. I love you, Mom. You've always been my mom. Not some aunt, my mom. I love you too. Her tone was thick with emotion. She was at the edge of a voice break herself. I'm so lucky to be your mom. Doc, this is a visual novel. It is less a game, more just a narrative experience. She started to sniffle openly.
Don't worry about that.
Never liked Cradle of Filth. Never liked them. Rebecca? I don't know. To create drama. Exactly, Comic Breck. It is to create drama about it. Don't feel bad for me with how it worked out. I promise that none of it was your fault. And it's not as though I'm completely miserable over here. I have an incredible life with a beautiful baby boy of my own who calls whenever he can. At that, Cove's tears only came down heavier. Thank you. She's vulnerable. Ask Mom out now. Kyra sighed affectionately, and you could hear the warmth in her voice. I think that's good for now. Maybe we should end the call. Take a moment. Is that really alright? He tightened his grip on his phone. You could see how emotionally exhausted he looked.
Of course.
We'll be in touch soon. For now, you'll only be able to keep thanking me, or apologizing.
Hey!
Cove cried out defensively over the accusation, making his mom snicker. Bye, and goodbye to you, Jamie. I'm glad you're there for my baby. See you. Bye, Mom. I love you. Love you too. Kids cuisine connoisseur. Cove hung up. He let his hand drop to his side, his face brushing the fabric of his wetsuit. His other hand went up to his face. He tried to wipe the tears from his eyes. I tried, Doc. I tried to answer the question. PB&J, a meal or a snack? It can be either way. It can be either, Comprick. I would say it depends on how hungry you are. It depends on how you're treating it. Cove hung up. He let his hand drop to his side, his phone brushing the fabric of his wetsuit. His other hand went up to his face. He tried to wipe the tears from his eyes. Give me a second. I gotta blow my nose. Give me a second here. That feels a bit better. It's a perfect answer. Yes, it is. J-Dot! Hey, J-Dot. No, I don't have COVID now. No, it's just every once in a while. Yep. Every once in a while, I get boogies. And, I like my last place, I enjoyed more. I had the ensuite and carpeted floor. Just baked a matcha latte pie. Last time I consumed fruit. It's been a while. You crying, J-Dot? Aw. What's wrong, J-Dot? His face was red, and he struggled to put his phone back in his bag one-handed. You could tell he was getting worked up. He finally just used both of his hands and sealed his phone back into its normal place. Cove sniffed and then reached out for you. His hand trembled in your grasp, and you squeezed back. He needed to feel your support. Uncle Lily? Yeah, still grieving. I assume you and your uncle were fairly close, J-Dot? Not tonight, Frida. Still taking time, AM. You want to go see your dad again? He didn't have to tell you what was on his mind for this. Cove nodded his head weakly. You rushed back the way you came, feet pounding across the boards of the dock to return to the scuba shop for the third time. You reached his dad's door, and Cove still wasn't slowing down. He pushed his way through the door at full speed. His hand released yours as he charged in. Mr. Holden had been walking around the middle of the store checking over things. Immediately he turned at the sound.
What's wrong?
What? Where's the fire? He froze when he got a look at Cove's face. He worriedly opened his mouth, probably to ask what was wrong, but then Cove launched himself at his father. Cove threw his arms around Mr. Holden's neck. He buried his face in his dad's shoulder and started to sob with deep, hitching breaths. Cliff clearly had no idea what was going on, and his hands hovered awkwardly in the air. He looked at you for a brief second, hoping for understanding, before turning all his attention on Cove. He wrapped both his arms around Cove's back. Cove looked secure in his father's embrace, protected and safe. It's okay. It'll be okay, whatever it is. It's going to be okay. Cove kept crying. He inhaled deeply, his voice choking up when he tried to speak.
I'm so sorry.
I was watching sad movies. What I date a Greek woman from Montreal. I mean, I'm not really interested in a long distance relationship. So, like, dating someone who lives in Montreal right now wouldn't really work for me at the moment. I'd prefer someone close by. Life's just hard. Indeed. You always tried to be there for me when I was growing up, and I was mean to you. I'm sorry.
What?
Mr. Holden was completely taken aback. He hadn't expected this to be the issue. You don't have to apologize for that, bud. Kids are allowed to be mad at their parents. It's my job to take care of you. It's my job to take care of you. I really didn't do anything special. Yeah, I've been there, J-Dot. I don't like this angle of Cove. It is weird. This is a weird image. This is tiring me out. Cove shook his head as emphatically as he could while still tucked in against his dad. You've always supported me no matter what. You've always loved me. I wish I realized how much you did sooner. Cove squeezed him tighter. Thank you. I love you, Dad. At his son's heartfelt confession, the father became choked up as well. He compressed Cove into a crushing hug. Yeah, this particular still is incredibly awkward. Like, this is just a really weird still in general. Back of Cove's head looks like a ping pong paddle. Just everything about it is... I don't know. I do love you. I always will. You can count on that. I want to be there for you, too. They clung on to one another, absorbed in the moment. Then after a little while longer, they slowly began to loosen their hold. The smile. Not the smile. Yeah, it's not a good smile. Cove sniffled and moved so he could use his palm to wipe away his tears. His dad's shirt was visibly damp where his face had been. I do not suffer chronic pain, luckily. Cliff patted the top of Cove's shoulders. He looked at his son with pride. You've grown up so much. Cove started to laugh through his tears, a wavering smile on his lips. You doubted that Cove would have ever thought that crying on his dad's shoulder was a sign of maturity, but it was true. Cove had changed over the years. I think I've heard of them AM, but I know almost nothing about them. Think Jenna is napping? Could be. It made you wonder if there was more to understand about your moms. You thought back to when you were little and tried to think if you'd ever changed perspectives on your parents. You appreciated everything they had done for you, but maybe you could tell them thank you when you got home. Just in case. Cove wiped at his eyes again. Where's Dandy? Presumably just busy with life stuff, I would assume. You're a good dad. You're a good son. Mr. Holden was plainly touched by the words, and beamed at his beloved child. Cove looked away and shyly traced his scar. Cliff chuckled and released Cove to rub the back of his neck. The earlier panic had bled off and left the confusion. I'm glad we had this talk, but what was it that made you cry in the first place? You weren't too bad off when you left here. Oh. Cove ducked his head further down, getting a very good look at the scuff marks on the floor. When it's not pervy or scary, when it's not scary or pervy, this is actually giving me ASMR. You definitely need to read some David Sedaris, August Burroughs, or even Tolkien. Yeah, I tried. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Finding the right thing to read would be hard, I think. I don't want to record like an hour-long video of me reading a short story, you know? It would need to be something that is a reasonable length. What kind of game is this? It is a visual novel, Jocko Johnson. I called Mom. I wanted to talk to her about all of this. He kicked one of his feet shyly, swinging it back and forth against the ground. I like how I took a shower. Why? Because sometimes you just feel like you need a shower, Comic Brook. What color are my nipples? Who says I even have nipples? Church in the morning and my friends play tomorrow. Some ASMR whisper for us. This is me whispering. Is it creepy when I whisper? Things felt really hard when I was younger, but it wasn't just me going through stuff, Dad. You never give yourself credit. Cove smiled gently and gripped Cove's shoulder with reassurance.
Oh.
Kyra is an amazing person to come to my defense. For me, the only hard part was seeing you and her unhappy. Everything else, that was nothing. Comic only shower once every 8 days. You can tell because her hair does that thing. Heard myself reading Dune. Dune is public. Dune. I don't think Dune is public domain yet, so not something I would read on camera. And I probably wouldn't read it on camera even if it was public domain. Nothing much, J-Dot. He wrapped an arm around Cove's neck for another side hug. Cove leaned into the embrace and glanced up at his dad. Your old man is tougher than he looks. Check out how powerful these arms are. And this is 10 years on. I was in my prime in those days. Hey, Scriptcoat. Cove laughed. It was a light sound, full of fondness. Okay. He quieted down a little, finding a quick moment of seriousness. Thanks again, Dad. I know you don't want me to feel bad, and I'm happy. Because of everything you and Mom did, I have a really nice life. So much for me to watch. You don't have time for all that showering stuff? Just spray rose vanilla spray all over? So I heard, J-Dot. I don't blame her for it. Mr. Holden's countenance became much more serious. He didn't take what was said lightly. Cove, you are very welcome. That's so good to hear. I once had someone stop engaging in a three-way because she didn't control the D and wanted to control the spice. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm a better streamer than she is. Hangry during Rabbit? I mean, entirely possible, Frida. Hanger is a real thing, and she does get hangry. She does absolutely get hangry. But I wouldn't blame her if she never came back. The reaction channels, the harassment she gets, it's always been absurd. Then he let Cove go again. This time they both took a step back to their normal proximity. Mr. Holden cleared his throat. He looked at you right in the eyes.
That's a relief.
I also appreciate that you were here for support, Jamie. What a loyal partner. Cove looked back down, embarrassed. Is her birthday? Oh shit, her birthday is soon. I totally forgot, yeah. Yep, it's Fry's season, Comic Brook. Finally! Resolution. You clapped with a broad smile on your face. Cliff glanced away in embarrassment, mirroring his son. They stood like that, almost perfect copies of each other, for an awkward moment. Hey, maybe I ought to give you another $20 for all this. You've put up with a lot over the years. Cove's cheeks puffed up into a pout.
No.
No. I could use some money. You were mostly joking. That being said, you wouldn't mind a $20 bill. I do not, Rebecca. Not you too. Yeah, I have no thoughts on Doherty Doesn't Drama. I don't give a shit.
Sure.
Okay. I'll leave making jokes about that to Cove. Cove smiled satisfied at that. All right. Cove exhaled slowly, his posture relaxing. We better get going. You still have work, Dad, and I think Jamie has been patient enough. I have some shitty tattoos, so I don't have much room to talk about the fries. I know. It's one of those things. It's just the way it came out was just awkward text used. Awkward font. It was an awkward font choice. Ended up being the perfect tattoo. I mean, she does like fries, right? People like fries. It's perfect. It is. It's honestly... The awkwardness, like... The fact that it looks like fries does end up making it perfect. I think that is her best. And she doesn't have a lot. I mean, it's better than her other tattoo. Cove has a tramp stamp. I didn't bring them here to watch me cry to my parents. She has a tattoo that says Aries. Like, it says Aries. But the way the font that was used, it genuinely looks like it says fries. I have a slushy tattoo. See, it says Aries, but it looks like fries, and it's great. What was it? Yeah, it's supposed to be Aries. Because she is an Aries. And she buys into that astrology shit. Welcome back, Jenna. No, Frida. Cliff grinned and waved the two of you off. Sure thing. I'm happy you both stopped in, but you gotta go have some fun. Be careful out there. I don't need to go jet skiing anymore. Jamie, if you still want to go, I don't mind watching. No way! You are a mature young man, and if you want to jet ski, then you should go out and jet ski. I'll still be here if you need anything, right? Yeah, okay. I almost forgot why I came out in the first place. Cove waved to his dad as he started walking out. You followed. When you turned back to Mr. Holden before you went out the door, he was waving. Bye, kids. You'll do great. Once again, as had become today's habit, you and Cove walked down the dock side by side. But this time, Cove had a bounce back in his step. His smile was soft but radiant. Thanks for staying. And sorry for how long it took. I was curious anyway. Really? You nodded seriously. It had been a bit of a mystery for years at this point. Today was a day of revelations, and you didn't mind. Cove grinned at you, all grateful positivity and sunshine. The water lapped at the dock beneath your feet. Cove looked down when a particularly strong wave crashed against it. It's weird to think about my parents' relationship. There's all this stuff that I don't know because I wasn't there, or because I was just a kid, or because I didn't even exist yet. It feels really complicated. Yeah, that's going a bit far, Cam. White supremacist? Nah, fuck you. Don't fucking accuse her of white supremacy, Cam. Fuck off. Relationships are complicated. You agreed with him. Connections to other people were as varied as there were waves in the ocean. Cove nodded without elaboration. He looked out into the ocean wistfully for a moment before he shook it off.
It's nice.
Looking forward to work? Eh, not really. I'm happy they were married, even if they didn't stay together in the end. I'm glad you're feeling better. You asked about what he thought about marriage for himself now. Speaking of marriage... Cove's eyes widened curiously as he turned to face you. Are you scared of it because of everything that happened with your parents? Cove shook his head shyly. He didn't hesitate for a second. No. Surprisingly, I don't have issues about the idea of getting married someday. You looked at him, not bothering to hide your intrigue. He chuckled self-consciously at the reaction he got.
I mean...
Don't get me wrong, trying to actually propose would be terrifying. I'm sure planning a whole wedding would be so hard, especially for me, but... just the thought of having someone I love, that I was married to, that I'd spend the rest of my life with, that doesn't scare me. What about you? Would you ever want to be officially married someday? My tattoo is moving. Is that normal? I don't have any tattoos, so I can't say, so I can't be sure, but probably? I'd only get married if I found someone really special. The only wedding you could picture was with the perfect partner, someone you loved dearly. You'd never get married just to be married. If you were going to get married, it would be to someone that you truly cherished. Oh. He quickly decided to change the subject after that admission. Alright, no more distractions. Let's go, it's time to jet ski. Yeah, let's do it! The two of you began to more quickly make your way across the boards. Despite your excitement, you were both careful. Neither of you wanted an accident, especially after what happened with Cove's first jet skiing trip. Shower routine video? I will tell you the products I use. Oh, I forget the name of the body wash. Spring? Irish Spring Body Wash. Head and Shoulders 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Those are all the products that I use. Not not Old Spice, Irish Spring. It's Irish Spring body wash that I use. It's cheap and it smells fine. Honestly, it's cheap and it smells fine. You finally got to the rental place. You were surprised at how easy the process was. It took no time at all for Cove to climb on his jet ski with shaky legs. Vagisil? No. You rented your own jet ski. You'd spent this entire time wanting to jet ski and were thrilled to finally climb onto one. It was lime green with blue detailing. The jet ski rocked slightly as you got on, bobbing with the waves. Comic Brook, chicken butt. Irish Spring is a Protestant soap. Never heard it, Rebecca, so I probably wouldn't. You looked across to Cove. He sat motionlessly aside his jet ski, preparing himself to start it up. Even from your distance, you could tell his hands were clamped onto the handles too tightly. He was stiff and nervous. Guess why? Chicken thigh. It'll be alright, Cove. Trust yourself. My mom is going to be cosplaying as a Pokemon trainer and going to an anime convention with me. Isn't that iconic? That's awesome, Compbrick. Sounds like you'll have a great time. Cornwall actually is very conservative, Rebecca. It consistently votes for the Conservative Party. It's honestly, it's hard to even care about voting here. Chicken cream, beef cream, silver trout cream. Your mom is so cool. She sounds at Comic Brook. Anyway, it'll be alright, Cove. Trust yourself. He took a deep breath. You could see the rise and fall of his chest.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. He inhaled slowly and started up the jet ski. It roared forward, and you were surprised you could hear him squeak over the sound of the engine. He stopped after a few seconds and breathed again. After he'd calmed down, he started up once more. Cove sputtered and stalled with it for a while, going a little farther each time. He grew more comfortable with the field. Cove eventually reached the point where he only stopped the jet ski when he had something to say. He kept shouting things at you. Hey, Bunny Star. Hi, Annie Ripsa. This is amazing! Did you see that, Jamie? This is so great! You had gotten your own jet ski going as well. You made sure to keep a safe distance. Cove watched what you did with enthusiasm. Nice turn! I don't know if we do Comic Brook. I don't know if we know his birthday. He zoomed forward and you could hear his bright laugh ring across the waves. You were relieved he'd taken to it so well. Hey, Anaripsa. You had no trouble controlling the machine yourself, and enjoyed the freedom it offered. You sped around the ocean with a wide smile on your face. Eventually, the sun set and you had to pack up. Cove was thankfully still in one piece. No cast necessary. After everything was returned, Cove dug his phone out of his bag and texted his parents to let them know all about his triumph. An idea to take a photo to mark the occasion struck Cove, and he wanted you to join him in the selfie. You smiled. You both grinned as he took the picture. It was a nice shot with the ocean stretching behind you. There is no sex in the game, Lizzie. Not this episode, Aniripsa. Of course we don't, J-Dot. You know everyone here likes you. His phone vibrated after only a moment after texting it out. Mr. Holden and Kyra had likely been waiting the entire day to find out how this outing would go. And with the news of his success, both of Cove's parents sent back how proud they were of Cove for how far he'd come. Watching him grinning in the setting sun after facing so many fears that day, you felt the same. Whew. That was a long fucking thing. It's always possible. Man, that one just seemed to keep going and going. Advice on controlling outbursts. But, like, I regularly tell people off. I don't know if I'm the one who should be giving that kind of advice. Jenna has always been there for me when I need a veal to cry on. The best method for controlling outbursts is to close your eyes and think of Guy Fieri. Honestly, that sounds like it probably would be pretty effective. Can we search guys kissing on YouTube? Maybe another time, Frida. For tonight, I am tired. That was a lot of reading. That was a lot of talking that I just did. A lot of narration. I've tired myself out. Just pooped myself right out. Not dry mouth, but sore throat. Dry throat. Hate that the clock changed? Yeah. Alright, so, before I go, I don't know, Rebecca. Doesn't honestly seem worthwhile. You know why I support LGBT? Because people deserve to be treated like people. Anyway, before I go, I mentioned this at the start of the video, but some people weren't here then. Drink the water. Somebody did a mashup of some music from Neon Genesis Evangelion mashed up with Tribute by Tenacious D. It's pretty glorious. My mom thought Flavor Town was where Flava Flav lived. That's great. That's pretty funny. So yeah. Neon Tenacious Evangelion. That's not what it's actually called, that's just what I call it. So yeah. Evangelion mashed up with Tenacious D. It's pretty great. I mean, it'd be copyrighted, Cam, so I don't think I'd be able to play it, but yeah. Find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. Now that I'm finishing. Now, like I said, Cam, I imagine that it would be... I'd get hit with a copyright... Like, I would probably get hit with a copyright strike, and I'd rather avoid that. Just find it. Just go looking for it on YouTube. I'm ending the stream here anyway. You can just freaking go to the search bar. Play Flappy Bird. Just go to the search bar and type in Evangelion Tenacious D. I think it's called This Is Not the Greatest Song. Like, I think it's called This Is Not, in brackets, the greatest song in the world. Because that's like the whole Evangelion thing with like not in brackets. I don't think so, Scapegoat. Anyways, yeah, so I'm tired. I'm ready to call it an evening. So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. No, Frida. And yeah, I will be on tomorrow for something or other, I don't know. So, yeah, so good night, everybody.